Why I don't cold call ever in wholesaling real estate. Guys, it's Rick, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you the real reason why I never did cold calling when I started out wholesaling real estate. And I'm going to show you how you can be successful without ever making a cold call. But before I get into it, do me a favor. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this videos with others so they can get the truth about wholesaling. I never made cold calls when I started out wholesaling real estate. Now, I started back in 2003, a different time, a different place, and I don't regret anything I did. But I will tell you, the reason I did not make cold calls, I was scared, like just brutally honest. I was already uncomfortable doing wholesaling. I went from a corporate job, I went from formal college training and being programmed in school. So listen, it's a victory. I was obviously successful at wholesaling real estate without doing cold calls. And I just want you to understand, I didn't have like this secret technique. Number one, nobody ever really taught it to me. And when it was introduced to me, I felt like it's just the truth. It's a full confession. The truth of the matter, if I could go back in time, I would cold call, but I didn't do it. I don't regret it. And there are some lessons we can unwind on this. So if you're stuck on the fence about cold calling, you're not sure if you should do it. Number one, identify if it's just because you're scared, that is not enough of an obstacle not to cold call. Get uncomfortable, get it done. So I'm going to teach you some basic lessons from my experience of 21 plus years of wholesaling, and you can make the decision if cold calling is right for you, or maybe you want to give it a shot without cold calling. Listen, if you're willing to put in the work, you can do anything you want, but you have to understand the rules of engagement. And it goes simply like this. Number one, if you don't have any money and you're broke, admit it to yourself. That's rule number one. That's why a lot of people get into wholesaling. And understand, if you don't have a lot of money, you're going to have a lot of time. And that's where cold calling is the absolute perfect fit. If you don't have money, you're going to have to give up a large amount of your time to make up for your financial shortcomings. And that's where cold call fits perfectly. You see, if you decide to do cold calling because of the financial restrictions of the resources you don't have, and you're willing to give up your time, this is the rules to cold calling. And it's simple if you get into it, because nobody wants to cold call forever. You're absolutely lying to yourself if you go, I just want to cold call 6-8 hours a day for the rest of my life. That's insanity. Now, what you have to do if you commit to the cold calling, it's usually due to financial limitations, is you are going to have a hustle season. Now, most people tell you have to do one hustle season. That's a lie. You're going to have to put in 2 full hustle seasons, 2 years. Why? Because it's a slow start. You're starting with nothing. So you're going to have to get a lot of repetition, a ton of leads in, and cold calling is something that builds momentum. Remember, you're starting from 0. You got to go to 1 mile to 2 mile to 3 before you get to 100. Cold calling is perfect for this situation. And this is what we identify as outbound marketing. Now, I want you to understand a little bit something about outbound marketing. Outbound marketing is designed for people with little to no money, but have a lot of time and willing to put in the work and go through 2 hustle seasons. If you can do that, cold calling is perfect for you. Some of you guys, it is the only option you have. So let's talk about the cold, hard facts of cold calling. Kind of funny. It is the most effective way to reach the most amount of sellers in the shortest amount of time. You might want to replay that part again. The most effective way to reach the most amount of sellers in the shortest amount of time. Guys, on paper, cold calling is absolutely perfect. It requires a minimal amount of money and a huge amount of time commitment. It will massively advance your communication skills with people and help you talk to people and easily overcome objections, because when you do it thousands and thousands of times over, it is what we call practice, and you get better as you experience. And the ultimate reward from cold calling is it will increase your confidence. Now, in the beginning, it's going to shoot it down hard because you're going to get a lot of rejection. But once you can start overcoming objections, get better with your dialogue, with building rapport and easily identifying people's motivations to sell a property, that need to sell their property, and your confidence will go up. Because once you start to get good at this, this is how you become a master in cold calling. And this is why I tell you to have at least 2 hustle seasons. This ultimately is going to create an incredible amount of discipline, and discipline leads to consistency. And that's why cold calling is still extremely effective in 2024. Now, here's the part that every guru was going to leave out to you, is just because it is theoretically the most effective and factually the most effective way to reach the most amount of sellers in the shortest amount of time, the downside is it is not the easiest thing to do. What do you mean? Having thousands and thousands of conversation is going to make you uncomfortable. if you're not used to it. A lot of you try to avoid it because you say, I don't have sales experience. And it's not so much sales experience, it's understanding the process of talking to human beings and relating them and overcoming objections and getting past the stranger danger conversation. If you're still watching this now and you want to move forward with cold calling, knock yourself out. The last part you have to overcome is going to be skip tracing. Now, the good news is a lot of you are going to have to look this up manually. If you want to learn how to do that, go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you how to do it manually. It's going to cost you a ton of time. But guys, this is why I say, if you want to get into cold calling, commit to 2 hustle seasons. Because once you get through the hustle, you can now get resources, which is money, resources, and software to utilize these things to speed up your process to be able to do the next one, which we call inbound leads. Now, I'm going to go into depth on inbound leads in this video, but let's talk about, hey, Rick didn't do cold calling and he was wildly successful, so why don't I just do what he did? So let me give you my step-by-step of what I did when I didn't do cold calls, because that's probably why you're watching the video. Let's be brutally honest. My hustle season was 16 months. I got it done in less than 24 months because I worked 7 days a week while I had a full-time job, and I was so committed to wholesaling, I wanted to get out of my job as soon as possible. In fact, I was able to get out of my job in about 8 months. The second 8 months, I went crazy. I did everything I could to get my wholesale leads. So you're saying, okay, Rick, you didn't do a cold call. Tell me what you did. I'll tell you right now. I decided to do door knocking for pre-foreclosure leads. And you're thinking like, isn't that harder than cold calling? It is. And it is the least efficient way. It is the most uncomfortable thing to do. That's my personality. I tend to do things that are like the wildest. But I will tell you, it was hard. I didn't get through nearly as many leads cold calling. That's why I'm giving you this analogy so you understand. But I got good at talking to people and I understood pre-foreclosures. And I literally knocked on each door. I didn't do reverse driving for dollars because I didn't know that was a technique back then. If I knew what I knew today, I would do 100% reverse driving for dollars when it comes to pre-foreclosure leads instead of knocking on each door. I also did bandit signs, which is going to be a form of inbound marketing. But my outbound marketing was door knocking on pre-foreclosures. I would get a list and I would just knock on the door. Honestly, I really didn't know what I was doing. And it took me about 6 weeks before I even got people to really talk and engage me. And most of that 6 weeks was a battle in my own mind. And I struggled with it, but I stuck with it. And it made me bolder. I got more confidence and I got very comfortable talking to people. So that was really my first year of outbound. I chose a different avenue. Probably wasn't the right avenue, but it worked for me. And listen, if you don't want to do cold calling, I get it. Make a decision, but understand, ask yourself why you're not going to do cold calling. And if it's just because you're scared, I want you to reevaluate it, because you have to walk a mile in someone's shoes before you teach somebody else to do it. So many people go out here cold calling thinking you can just use these third-party services that these gurus create. It's just a cash machine for them. They really don't care if you're successful. And honestly, these are people that are paid such a low wage. It's just a mill house. And if you think you can buy your way to getting through cold calls, I'm just telling you, if you can figure it out yourself, you will do amazing things. Now, back to me. So I started out with the outbound, with the door knocking to the pre-foreclosures. I switched over to bandit signs, which is an inbound marketing service, because people would call me. I would put out signs. Go to freewholesaling.com. I show you exactly how to do it. And it still works in today's market. Make sure you check your state and county local laws to make sure you're not breaking any. And then I added a bunch of JVs. You guys kind of know my issue. I didn't do dispo pretty much my first 2 years of wholesaling because I was so concentrated on dialing in my skills to talk to motivated sellers. And I did short-term pain for long-term gain because I had ADHD. I just couldn't learn dispo and learn how to qualify a motivated seller, put it under contract. I just felt it was overwhelming. So JVs was the last part in my 16-month hustle season that got me out of financial debt, got me ability to breathe above water. And yes, I did it all without cold calling. So after 16 months, I added another inbound service called direct mail. Why? Because now I had more money. I had less time. And here's the beauty thing that I discovered about direct mail. It was scalable. And when I mean scalable, I could get 20, 30, 40 leads, click a few buttons, send stuff out. Back then, it was a little bit more than that. You guys have an incredible luxury today with direct mail. And if you want to learn how I did that, go over to mailingmastery.com. That was the final step that learned me how to scale my wholesale business. And I'm here to tell you a little dirty secret is direct mail is about 70 to 75% of any big wholesaler's operation to get leads. Why? It's illegal, it works, and they get a great return on their investment, on their ROI. A good direct mail system will get between 5 and 8 times a return on their investment. Now, the next layer added to it, I added another inbound direct mail niche list, which was probates. And guys, this took me a while to figure it out, but the reason I did them because they were so massively profitable. And I developed a laser focus and I got really good to the point I was pretty much the nation leader on how to do wholesales for probates. And then the last inbound method I decided to do to add scalability to my business as it was blowing up is SMS text. And you guys know how that worked out. I hit it at the right time. It was awesome. People weren't familiar with it. We didn't have carrier issues that we have today. And this was massively scalable. So I'm just showing you the pattern of where I started and why I didn't do cold calling and the options you have available to you. Now let's talk a little bit about the difference between outbound and inbound marketing, because that's what you really need to grasp when you talk about cold calling and these other lead sources. See, outbound marketing is, in my opinion, it's kind of a requirement to get started in wholesaling. I watch more wholesalers come in to wholesaling real estate and they go, listen, I got plenty of money, and they throw all these money at coaches and they do all these expensive pay-per-click and pay-per-lead, and they jump into direct mail. And here's the problem is they don't know what they're doing. And if you don't know how to have a conversation with sellers, you don't know how to qualify or disqualify motivated sellers, if you don't know where to look for the best leads, you're just going to smoke through money. And more importantly, you're going to waste a ton of time. And that's the beauty of wholesaling. You can't buy your way to the top. You got to earn it. It's like wrestling. The only piece of equipment I got in wrestling is I got a uniform and I got a piece of headgear. The rest, I had to earn it. And it's no different in wholesaling. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if you do inbound or outbound, but everybody starts at outbound. Why do me and Zach have you focus on government lists? Because it is the highest motivated sellers. And you have the highest percentage of finding people that need to sell their house. I don't waste time on MLS. I don't waste time on on-market deals. It is off-market deals direct to seller that need to sell their house. That's it. The faster you can get there, the better you're going to be at wholesaling. You see, outbound gives you the experience, what we label as the journey in wholesaling. Nobody gets a pass on this. I don't care if you have millions of dollars. You have to cut your teeth. And I know what you're saying, well, I'll just hire people to do it. How are you going to hire people if you personally don't know how to do it? It doesn't make any sense. See, to be good at anything, you got to walk a mile in someone's shoes to get it done right. How are you going to train cold callers if you've never done a cold call yourself? You don't know how to manage them. You don't know the KPIs, and you don't understand the conversation. Outbound marketing will give you the experience you need to craft your skill of talking to sellers, building rapport with them, and learning how to negotiating and how to play the game of wholesaling. It's called repetition and practice. And just like you understand in any sports, the teams that don't practice or think they know it all and they skip practice, when they go to game day and they put on that beautiful shiny uniform, a helmet, whatever it is, and the other team has done nothing but drilled the fundamentals and like how to do the basics, they're going to run them up and down the field. And that's the difference in wholesaling with outbound. So if you don't have a lot of money, but you got a lot of time, outbound is where you started. You've just got to make a decision. You're going to do cold call. You're going to do reverse driving for dollars. You're going to do door knocking, throw in some bandit signs, which is technically the inbound side. And that's the other side of the equation. You see, the goal is to get from outbound to inbound. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of going outbound and shifting directly to inbound. Keep the outbound going to keep the cash flow going. Make some investments, keep some of your earnings, and invest them in resources so you can move forward. You can do direct mail campaigns. You can do SMS texting. You can do bandit signs. And once you start doing a combination, That is how you start to really grow your wholesaling business. But don't stop what you did that worked in the beginning on the outbound, which is either going to be door knocking, cold calling, whatever it is you're doing on that, and focus on the government list. How do you know when you can get free of the outbound? Great question. 5 deals, guys. Get me 5 contracts. You should have enough money so you can make the switch. If you want to learn direct mail, go over to mailingmastery.com. I teach it in detail. I don't charge you a dime to do it. And guys, the idea is to get from outbound to do outbound and inbound. And eventually, if you want to switch to inbound, and then if you want to open up a department that handles your outbound and you oversee them because you went through the journey, you understand the fight, you put in your 1,000 hours, then you can hire people to do it. Most people that hire people to do outbound marketing with no experience, no deals, and definitely didn't get the 5, it's usually an extremely high failure rate. And for this reason, I don't want you to fail. So you have to make a decision here. Are you going to do outbound or are you going to do inbound? And if you think you're going to skip outbound and jump to inbound because you got some money, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. So if you don't have experience, make sure a partner or somebody on your team has the experience to handle that. And my recommendation, listen, if you don't have a lot of money, start with outbound. It is a earned badge. And honestly, it's going to make you a more effective wholesaler in the long run. So many people want to skip the fundamentals of wholesaling, especially on how to especially on marketing to motivated tellers. If you go through that journey and you go through the hustle season, not 1, but 2 hustle seasons, you can do outbound, you can do a combination of inbound, or you can switch all the way over to inbound. And then if you want to do more advanced strategies like pay-per-click, pay-per-lead, which I'm not a big fan of, it does work, but it is a huge investment. You can start shifting over there because you're so good at talking to people. You're very understanding of the entire wholesale operation because you went through the journey. So I know what you're saying. Well, Rick, you were going to tell me how to do this without cold calling. Yeah, you can do it without cold calling. I've given you plenty of options. Go over to freewholesaling.com. But if you decide to do it without cold calling, make sure you have a ridiculous commitment to wholesaling real estate, learning the fundamentals. Don't do all the flash you get from all your gurus. They're coming out of the woodworks. But my suggestion to do that, make sure you have a partner that can back you up to help you close the deals, possibly even do some short-term funding and stuff like that, just for EMD. Because if you're dead broke, when you get a deal, at some point, you're going to need help with money. So many gurus want to tell you how they're going to fund it and be your hard money partner in the back end. I'm here to tell you, you're better off just finding a partner in your market. If not, reach out to me and Zach. We do sellmypaper.com. We JV every day with our Flip with Rick Plus members. We also do it with the public. Nobody does more JVs than us and purely in wholesaling. Guys, we are not realtors. When we JV, we're looking for great deals. So I want you to go out and get the best deal possible. If you do it with cold calling or not, let me know in the comments which method you take. I wanted to share my story so you can learn some lessons from it. Listen, nobody gets this exactly right, but there's always a lesson to learn. Make sure you find the lesson in this video. And as usual, if you got value from this, do me a favor, share this video with a friend, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so I can feed you more information on the truth of wholesaling. This is Rick, and I'll see you in the next video.